Welcome to the Neurodivergent Experience podcast, a podcast where we share the lived experiences of neurodivergent people to help create a better understanding for our community.
Join us every week as we bring you honest, raw, and inspiring conversations with specialists, advocates, and individuals who know exactly what it's like to live the neurodivergent experience.
I'm Jordan James, a neurodivergent specialist, father of neurodivergent children, husband to a neurodivergent wife, and author of The Autistic Experience, and I'm joined by my best friend.
I'm Simon Scott. I'm an autistic ADHD broadcaster, actor, and advocate. Join us as we journey into unravelling the neurodivergent experience.
Hello and welcome back, everybody. Hello, Scotty.
Hello, my friend. How are you doing? You okay?
No, I'm tired.
It was a flip role reversal. I'm feeling a lot more energised than I was when you were speaking to Ashley the other week. Honestly, mate, I couldn't string a sentence together that day. And I was getting so worried that I wasn't going to be able to do the podcast. And at no point did at any point, like, in my brain go, you could just not do it. Like, I really had to think about it. And then even when I was talking to you and Ashley and I was like, could I just sit it out? I felt like really bad. But that's just sort of the experience of being one of our people, I guess. You definitely overthink and worry about what other people are thinking.
Well, yeah, you've become a very, very busy boy.
Yeah.
Doing lots of interesting life things.
It's getting that way, mate. It's very funny. I was sort of trying to reflect on this and acknowledge this the other day, in that I actually, compared to when we first started doing this podcast, I've got a really full, colourful and busy life, and I'm actually really happy and really enjoying stuff, but my energy is also finite, and it's really frustrating when you're doing things you enjoy, and like, I'm a lot more social. I've got way more friends than I had when we first started doing this, and you know, it's awesome, but then at the same time, like, I feel like I'm more tired than I've ever been. Even when I'm doing stuff that I enjoy, it's really frustrating having the battery that I have. Like, I wish that I had more go and more zip to do even more, but that's the fun part of having a relationship with yourself and learning to accommodate. It's a steep learning curve, my friend.
Yeah, you've got to make sure that you count your spoons properly.
Yeah, I'm still not great at it, if I'm honest. It's
Well, you've also got to learn to say no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No. Stop that. No.
But, yeah. I'm getting there. I'm a lot better than I used to be. Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I'm feeling a little bit better, but I thought today on the podcast we could talk about something that I know that I've definitely seen a lot of it, and the people that I've spoken to through the network and through the work that I do, rumination, neurodivergent rumination, is something that I thought was just me, and it was very refreshing to see that other people deal with this, but at the same time, it's hard to separate yourself from things. So that's what we're discussing today. This is a bit of another RSD discussion, sort of info dump, and trying to validate not only my own experiences and Jordan's, but you, the listener, as well. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So before I delve into rumination and sort of my reading of it, what's your thoughts on neurodivergent rumination, dude?
Well, it's basically an emotional pain from perceived rejection. That's the rejection sensitivity dysphoria part of it, and I do think it's trauma based.
Oh yeah,
but it's like everything else when it comes to neurodivergence, because I had a discussion with Sophie the other day, and she's doing a mentoring, and she's doing really well, but she now is surrounded by so many neurodivergent people. Like, just basically, she doesn't really get out much.
Yeah,
and she's at that point because she doesn't have a job out, in a workplace or anything like that. And even when she was at uni, she mostly just knew neurodivergent people. And you do wonder at some point when you surround yourself with so many neurodivergent people, you go, what the hell is a neurotypical? what is a neurotypical? Because
that's a good point.
neurodivergence covers so many things. Now, on this program, we focus in on the alternative neurotype, so born neurodivergent, not dismissing anybody that becomes, neurodivergent, but we talk about neurotypicals, and even I'm struggling to go, well, what is a neurotypical? And the reason is because neurotypicals do exactly what neurodivergent people do. We all do exactly the same things. We just do things and experience things more intensely.
Yeah.
So when it comes to rumination, someone might go, well, everybody ruminates. Of course they do. It's a human nature to go over things in your mind again and again and again, and relive moments, relive conversations.
Polish the turd, as I would say.
Indeed, yeah. And especially when it comes to trauma, everyone gets traumatized at some point in their life, by people, by moments, by things. Especially with the amount of news that we're, that flies at us every day on our phones and things like that. You can't really escape much nowadays, unless you just put your phone down, which is what I always suggest. But I think that the main difference is obviously we experience everything more intensely. Like if there's a volume button, neurotypical's max volume is 5, right? Our base level, our minimum is 5. And our maximum is, well, fuck knows.
Spinal Tap 11.
Literally Spinal Tap 11. And and that's how we experience the world. We experience the world pretty much on at least medium volume to full volume at every part of every moment. So if someone's looking at go, well, I think I might be neurodivergent. Do you experience, but not do you do the same things as a neurodivergent person? Do you experience it like that? So when you say to someone, oh, I can smell that thing, and everyone else is like, I have no idea what you're talking about. And you're like, and it's so intense that you can literally almost taste the smell. And no one else can smell. That's being neurodivergent right there. So the idea of rumination from a neurodivergent perspective is it's times God knows how much. And that's where it becomes really, really hard for us to cope, because it's so intense that it can cause emotional pain.
Oh, yeah.
Over something incredibly, seemingly small. So again, if in a comparison, in neurotypical, let's say it's your wedding day and, your mother-in-law turns up in a white dress and calls you the C word. And you're just like, what the hell happened?
It's very specific.
What the hell? Reddit stories.
Fair.
It's like, what happened? And then, and if that's your wedding day, and you just be thinking about that over and over and over again, but like something like that is like something you will ruminate over. It's a big thing in your life. It's a big moment. But that sort of level of intensity, we can ruminate over, oh, I had a conversation with a barista while I was making my coffee, and I might have been a little bit sharp or a little bit, or was I rude, or was I annoyed, or, I mean, I was very tired. That's why I was having my coffee, and, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said it like that. And I don't know, did she seem upset, or was she busy, or maybe she was tired, or maybe she was rude, and maybe I was. And then you're like, but it was just getting a coffee. It's not a big deal.
And you're sat in traffic and you're missing green lights because you can't stop thinking about whether you upset a complete and utter stranger you may never see again.
It's kind of why lately, in order to gain my circle of control, I've just taken myself away from humans.
Yeah.
And I'm finding myself and even this morning, in Bluebell Woods, just surrounded by nature and little robins and birds singing. And, I've got my camera with me, but a lot of times I'm just sitting there and I'm just appreciating being surrounded by nature. This morning, 3.5 hours, I just sat in a wood by myself. I saw like 2 people in the entire time. And that that was perfect. Like it was like a reset. It's so good. And then I get out, get back in my car and get on the road, and all of a sudden life comes and those thoughts come, and then I'm, and I'm, oh God, what if I do this? And it is difficult. But yeah, so like that's the neurodivergent perspective of it. How do you experience it, and how bad is it?
This is the thing that I've found so helpful about doing this podcast, just on my life in general, mate, is it really actually makes me think about my lived experience. And, talking about ruminating on like social cues or just social interactions, I have always been a pattern matcher and a bottom-up processor. And I'm talking to people and I feel like I'm scanning them like Sherlock Holmes, like looking for facial... Sorry, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, for an audience, what is a bottom-up processor? Because I've actually noticed that some people comment on my Facebook page asking what that is. So,
okay.
Just in case someone doesn't know.
Oh, wow. How do you phrase that? I wish I'd had that written down.
Sorry.
You're okay. It's so,
but you do say it a lot, and I'm just like, okay.
So it's one of those things where like, I know what it means in my head, but I've now got to try and find the words for it. Like, I always think of bottom-up processing as just the neurodivergent way of processing. Is when I look at somebody or I'm talking to somebody, I feel like I'm scanning them for evidence. Like, I'm looking at their shoes and I go, oh, they bought those shoes because they like this. And they're wearing those glasses because of this. It's tabs. Tabs are just forever opening when I'm talking to people and looking at people, and it's because I'm scanning the situation from top to bottom, like bottom to the top. Whereas like top-down processing, somebody just look at it and they go, you're wearing shoes. I go, well, Jordan's not wearing shoes, he's wearing Jordan 1s that came out in 2018, and the reason that he likes them is because of this team, and they make him feel this, and this looks like this. Other people will look at him and go, he's got shoes on.
So it's basically tree learning over forest learning.
Yes.
Tree learning, counting all the trees before you need to know it's a forest.
Yeah.
Forest learning, you look at a bunch of trees and say it's a forest, and you piss off in a very neurotypical way. So yeah, okay. So
there you go.
That's essentially what it is.
I got that right. But so when you add that into like social interactions, I'm scanning people for evidence, but also because I'm highly sensitive. And I've got a lot of trauma around like social, like ostracization and alienation and stuff. And I'm looking for evidence of being disliked. So like I'm saying something and I see somebody's facial reaction and I go, oh, I've said something. And it's like I'm having a conversation, but then there's the internal conversation I'm having with myself at the same time. That's the bit that I struggle with, in that I can be in the shower and I will not even have a choice on this. It's like the image will flash across my face like a photograph that's just been taken of the past. And it will be an interaction I had with somebody. It may have even been like a date I went on over 10 years ago, or even something that I said in school. I will have a physical reaction to either the cringe or the embarrassment or just the negative feeling that comes from thinking about that moment. And it will cause a tick in me. I will literally, my neck will hit my shoulder and my face will scrunch up. Sometimes I'll even involuntarily say something out loud related to what I'm thinking about. Like, there'll be times where I was thinking about an argument I had with somebody. You know, when you go, oh, I wish I'd said that. And I will actually say that out loud. I'll say the thing randomly and I'm like, oh, I have like no physical control over it. It is literally like a tick response. But dude, it hurts. It's like, it literally feels like I'm being electrocuted sometimes when these thoughts come. And on top of that, it's then like the worry of, oh, well, maybe I really hurt that person when I did that thing. And then it's like I'm feeling guilt. So it's like all of these emotions of these cocktails happen because a thought, an involuntary thought, hits my head. And then suddenly I cannot stop thinking about it. Something so simple as, like, imagine you're with your girlfriend or your wife and you're walking with them and you bump into one of their exes, and then suddenly I'm imagining the entire relationship that they had with my partner in my head. I have no evidence of that. I have no sort of theory of that. But then suddenly in my head, I'm going, oh, well, they were taller than me, and I think they're better looking than me and more successful than me. And then like paranoia kicks in on the top of that as well. And it's like, I just can't stop these thought processes. And I get in like a really nasty loop in that sometimes these thoughts can last a couple of hours and they'll feel like a panic attack. It's like, I can't breathe. I can't get above the water of this thought. And then sometimes it'll almost be like a record playing in the background for months and months and months and months. Like if I was at work and somebody pulled me aside and they were like, I actually don't appreciate how you did that at work, or you need to work on this, you need to work on that, I would feel so incredibly self-conscious that everything moving forward would have that thought in the back, almost like influencing my behaviour and how I feel about things. It's like I would be at work and constantly in the back of my head that conversation would be playing, like radio in the background. Like, well, I have to do that because remember, don't forget the thing that's played. And like my thoughts can really influence my actions, and sometimes I can feel really out of control in my head, and it's really frightening, dude. Sometimes it's like really scares me because I can't stop it. It just like comes, and when it's here, I've just got to go through it. It sucks.
Yeah, it's getting just stuck in a thought loop.
Literally, it's literally just getting stuck in a thought loop
over and over and over again. And yeah, it's really, really shitty. But let's have a break, and when we come back, we can delve deeper into the mind of the ND.
Hi, everyone. It's Ashley Dupuy, the in-house therapist here on the Neurodivergent Experience and host of Mindful Mondays. And if you've been listening to these podcasts and thinking, gosh, I'd love to explore this work more deeply, I wanted to let you know about a special final opportunity to work with me one-to-one. So I'm gradually bringing my regular one-to-one practice to a close so that I can focus more on group work and recordings and other new exciting projects. But before I do, I'm taking on a small final round of one-to-one clients for a 6-session journey running from May to the end of July. So if this work has been resonating and you feel called to work with me directly, now is your last chance to do so, and I'd love to hear from you. You can register your interest by emailing me at integrativeiom@gmail.com or find out more at integrativeiom.co.uk.
Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. I don't know about you, but I've just been thinking about everything I just said because we're talking about neurodivergent rumination with a little sprinkle of rejection sensitivity dysphoria, RSD. Something that you mentioned there, dude, is getting your thoughts stuck in a loop, and we've got written in our notes here the perfectionism loop. Fear of criticism leads to perfectionism or social masking, hiding your traits, resulting in high stress burnout and intense fear of disappointing others.
Yeah, we do get into this mindset of if it doesn't reach a certain standard, then somebody's going to say something negative about it. And when somebody says something negative, you know, the term "take it on the chin," I think it just is not for us.
No, glass jaws.
We can't take shit on it. A freaking fly lands on my chin, I'm down. And it's it is something that as a neurodivergent person you need to work on. You do need to toughen yourself up. And you know, it sounds a bit like harsh to just like get over it, but essentially that is what you actually have to do, because I think that it, like, if it's somebody that you really, really care about, then one, they shouldn't be saying negative things, and they should actually, if they care about you in the same way, they should be more careful about how they critique or what they say to you. You know, you've got to be careful. But if you're dealing with just a rando or even like someone at work, fuck them, I guess. Just like, honestly, I don't think I've ever been happier when I just didn't give a shit what people thought. You know, it's like if if I do my job, then I literally have this mindset of minimum is the maximum.
Yeah.
Like as long as I can do the bare minimum,
I do what I'm meant to do.
Yeah. I'm not going to go. I mean, I have gone out of my way to try and impress bosses and colleagues and, and I've won awards and stuff like that. Do you know what I got for that?
More work.
Just no appreciation. I got the same amount of money as all the people that didn't do it. And what I got
was
a
thankless
stress.
task.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Now, I'm not saying don't try harder at work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you've got to weigh up the negatives and the positives, the pros and the cons. You say, okay, I have this many spoons and it's going to take this many of those spoons to really put myself out there. Then how many spoons is it going to cost me sitting around worrying, did I do right? Are they going to appreciate it? Is what I did, going to get the reaction that I thought? That the overthinking, the rumination, that also takes spoons.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just the doing the extra and going the extra mile. It's dealing with that and putting yourself above the trenches, as it were. You pop your head out of the trenches. Was it worth it, or did you get your head shot off? So a lot of the times I look at it and just go, well, it's an energy thing, because it, again, it takes energy for everyone to do this, but it takes an extraordinarily large amount of energy for a neurodivergent person to put their head above the water, like you said, just to go, hey, how are you doing?
Do you know what it makes me think of, right? Neurotypicals, if we think of brains as computers, neurotypicals don't have to download anything. They can just open the tab or look
streaming.
For the tab. It's just there.
Constant streaming.
Whereas with me, I've got freaking malware in my brain that I don't want, that's just running in the background, and it activates when I don't want it to. And it's like, oh, you want your process, you need 80% of your processing power. Well, I'm going to take 40% of it, and your trauma's going to use that right now.
Yeah,
it's like,
I think
brilliant.
I think one of the things that's really, really terrible is that, we will become very easily distracted.
Yeah.
And a lot of people go, that's ADHD, it's attention deficit. Or alternatively, you're trying to do something and then a really, really negative thought just attacks you and you just sit there absolutely just stuck in that thought process of, oh, but what happened in that time 3 years ago?
And what are the consequences now?
But no one can see inside your head, and you're trying to mask that. You're trying to not let it bother you. So you're sitting there fighting your demons. Your full-on battle against your demons is
pure
going
Constantine vibes, just straight
exactly.
up. Yeah.
And it's all going on in your head, and you're trying to also do things.
Just get on with life.
Yeah, it's hard.
Do you know what, dude? I was thinking about this the other day, and I had a chat with a buddy of mine about it, because even though I'm happy at the moment, this is a thing that I live with every other day. I can get into a bit of a negative thought spiral that can almost feel like I'm having a panic attack, and afterwards I'm exhausted. It's so tiring. But adding on top of that whole misconception of, well, when you leave school, everybody behaves themselves and stuff like that. You add this brain into a working environment where people are shitty and bitchy, and there's cliques and like social ostracization in offices and things like that, and feeling underappreciated and that rejection sensitivity kicking in. Add that on top of somebody that's trying to work, and neurodivergent people do annoy neurotypical people. In many cases, a lot of the time, they find us intimidating, and they'll say shitty things to you because they're feeling shitty themselves, but they won't go home and think about how it's made you feel. But you do, and you have to live with the energy that people just throw away because they're frustrated in a moment. And that moment for you can feel like a lifetime. It can feel like months and months and months. And it's even more difficult when, you try and have conversations with people in work or anything like that, and you go, oh, I'm dealing with this, I'm dealing with that. And the response that 99% of people get is, well, everyone has to deal with that. Yeah, but it's different. And then suddenly you feel like you're asking for special treatment, and then the rumination kicks in again.
Yeah, you're just like, well, why do I deserve for people to accommodate me? You know, I don't deserve that. And the fact is that we do deserve it. Everyone deserves to be accommodated for when they have disabilities. You know, that is just how to be good in society, is giving everybody that leg up if they need it. I mean, I had a situation recently where I'm going to be I'm meant to be visiting my sister, and I said to her, oh, if we're gonna come all the way, because she lives in Sweden. I said, look, if we're gonna come to Sweden, the idea was that we were gonna come for the weekend, and I was like, okay, why don't I come for a week? You know, make a holiday out of it. You go all the way to Sweden, make a holiday out of it.
It's a beautiful place as well, Sweden. There's a lot to see.
So and then she sends me this really, really long message back, and my brain looks. I mean, I'd just woken up, right? First, I literally just woke up.
Doesn't help.
And I'm looking at this really, really long message that's not broken up, by the way. It's just a long message.
Yeah.
And my brain just starts picking out words. And instead of picking out positive words, it picks out negative words like, it's 10 days is a lot to be in a flat altogether. And I straight away went, oh, you don't want me there?
Yeah.
And that immediately I was like, oh, you don't want me there? And suddenly it doesn't matter. Like, all the other words disappear, and I can only look and only see the negative words. And then I literally just messaged back, forget about it. Just that was my, just forget about it. If you don't want me there. And then I was in a spiral, and I got really upset because I was like, fine, you know, screw me. I mean, obviously everyone hates me, and especially when it's my family.
Yeah.
Because they obviously, my trauma comes from when I was a child. And I had a lot of difficulty with my family because of how I was. I mean, even though they're all neurodivergent, I felt like I was always the worst one. I was the bad one because I got into so much trouble, because I caused so much trouble, because I was so fucking traumatized. But I always felt like I was the bad sheep. So those feelings immediately start coming back of, obviously my sister doesn't want me there really, and you know, or it's just, you know, obviously I'm going to be a problem. All those things just start coming into my head, and then Sylvia's like, no, that's the I doubt
trying
very
to walk
much
you
that's
down from the mountain.
Yeah. And then Simon, you know, my son, you know, who has been out there and seen his auntie, and so is Sophie is going to go and see her as well. She's already got the tickets booked. You know, it's like we all go at different times, but we've never been there. And I'm just spiraling, and I'm just like, no, this is it. You know, I don't give a shit. You know, if someone doesn't want to spend time with me, then, you know, I've got plenty of friends.
That's
and
the
I don't
difficult
care.
thing, though,
I don't
isn't it?
care.
Is you say to yourself, I don't give a shit, but you wouldn't have this reaction if you
Oh,
didn't.
Of course I give a shit.
That's,
you know,
like, it's
like
literally throwing a plaster on another plaster. That for me, that's how I feel about that. Anyway.
But the crazy thing, and then I literally lost my temper with Simon, who was only trying to help, and I just went, just because sometimes you just want a soundboard just to be like,
totally
just shout, and he's trying to give me advice because he's very, very neurodivergent, and that, oh, I need to fix that problem.
Yeah.
And I freaking lose it with him, and we have a little explosion, and the worst thing about this was that I felt, just before that, I felt like really, really good. And then Sylvia and I ended up just getting in the car and started driving off, even though Sylvia and I were meant to have a walk. And I literally had a proper meltdown. I just got in the car and started driving. And in my car, there's a button I press and it just plays sounds of nature. It's built into the car. It's just built. It's a Kia, and it's just built into the car. So it's in the car, and you just press it, and it just does these like nature sounds. And within like 30 seconds, I was like, okay, I'm okay. And then I stopped the car, turned the car back, came back, and was like, babe, do you want to come for a walk? And she's like,
I'm fine now.
Yep.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
So we got in the car, we drove, we went into the woods, same woods I was in this morning, actually. It's my special place. And then all of us, and she's going, what exactly did your sister say? So I pull out the message, like, look how bad it is. Dude, when I read that message, it was unbelievably sweet and kind and accommodating and lovely. And she's like, look, I don't want you to be stuck in this very small flat in this town. So we've actually got a place in the countryside that belongs to my boyfriend's parents, and they said that you guys can use it, and it's a really lovely little cottage, and maybe you could stay there during the week. And any chance that I get, because she's studying to be a doctor, we're going to come out, and we're also going to come and see you, and then you can come and stay with us at the weekends, and you guys can have a lovely holiday. And I'm like, this is a different message.
Your brain reads what it wants to read. It sucks.
And I'm sorry for everyone. That was a really long story, but it's very, very poignant, because it just goes to show you that negativity that has been pushed on me my whole life of no one wants you around, dude. No one wants you. You're too much. You're too much. And then when I actually stopped and read the message properly, it was more of, I do want you here, and I'm trying to be as accommodating as possibly to give you the best time. And it was a completely different message. It was the same message, but I saw it in a completely different way.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't it? Sometimes I actually feel like my brain gaslights me. Like, I will read a message.
Oh, yeah.
I will have the reaction that you've had in exactly the same way. And then I read it, and I literally look at my phone and I go, that is not the fucking message that I read an hour ago. It's not. Why did I read that differently? And it's really frustrating, because the amount of times, dude, I feel like a dick. Like, I respond to stuff and react to stuff and have meltdowns about things. And I then speak to that person, and they're like, what's wrong? What's going on? And I, again, in that ableist way, I just feel like a big diva. I feel like a big drama queen, because it's my trauma that's responding, and it's almost like I'm on the other side of a glass box going, this is not what I think, this is not what I feel, I'm not in control right now. But it's trying to explain that to people and navigating the consequences of it. It's literally like, as you put a fire out, you're throwing it somewhere else, and then there's another one starting. It's really hard to manage. And I imagine as well, I don't have any lived experience with this, but navigating this as a parent must be tough. Like, when you're overthinking about what you've said to your kids or what they say to you, it must be a shit, dude.
Dude, I mean, the amount of times where because my dad was very neglecting, like he didn't spend a lot of time with us.
Absent.
Very absent, a very absent father, like absent even when he was in the room, he seemed absent, But neurodivergence is different with other people. But I made a point of, like, when I had my kids, to just do absolutely everything I possibly could, even if I didn't like it. And trust me, umpiring a cricket game was not my idea, but I did it because my son wanted to play.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know. I hate cricket. I really do.
I can imagine you just being like, you're out, I want to go home. You're out, I want to go home.
I did it because my son was wanted to play cricket. And I basically, the point I'm trying to make is I would do anything to be there for my kids, to show them that they have a dad that gives a shit, that actually cares. And and I was at the time I was dealing with a lot of my own trauma, a lot of my own issues. But I always made sure that, my kids weren't affected by it as best I could. It wasn't perfect, but I tried my best. But spending time with them. So now, when I say, "Oh, Simon, do you want to play Baldur's Gate 3 or do you want to, play this game with me?" And he's like, "Oh no, I'm actually playing with one of my other friends." I fucking hate myself. And it's not his fault. He's just being, I want to say a teenager, but he's nearly 25, but essentially he's still being a teenager.
Very heavily seasoned teenager.
Yeah, he is still a teenager. He's still lives in his room. He still plays video games with his mates online, but doesn't really go out that much.
Do you remember that?
He has a job though, which is always good.
God,
but yeah, but like I would have dreamed of a dad that was like, "Do you want to play a video game with me?" I'd have been like, "Oh my God, Dad, yes, I do." And it just never happened. And now I'm trying to do that for my son, but he's always busy. And you know that song "Cats in the Cradle"?
Cats in the cradle, the silver spoon,
little boy. But it's like he's cats in the cradling me. The whole point of that song is it's about an absent father that when his son grows up, he then tries to spend time with him, and the son turns it around because it's too late. I was like, I'm not the absent father. I'm if anything, maybe a little bit overbearing. But again, that's just me being negative on myself. It's like, oh, maybe I was too much. Maybe
it's
my
never
kids
a positive
don't want me around.
feeling, is it, when you think about yourself? That's the bit that sucks.
Very, very rarely.
Like you never see the good stuff. You never feel the good stuff. That's the thing that frustrates me so much about just this lived experience, is that it always seems to be negative. It's like I never feel the good stuff. I don't remember the good stuff. I only seem to remember the bad stuff. I was talking to some buddies the other day about just some stuff that we used to do, and I'm like, why can't I remember that? But I can remember a conversation that I had with somebody who I've never seen again. Why is that in my brain? Why can't I remember the good stuff? It's really frustrating.
I'm getting better at remember. I mean, I remember the good stuff with my kids. I did a lot of good stuff with my kids. I'm just hoping that, they remember. I think that's the thing that I worry about, is that are they remembering the times where I had a meltdown, or are they remembering the times where I used to sing them to sleep and do stories and use their cuddly toys as like puppets and create little stories and read them. I read them the Faraway Tree, and I did all the voices of the different characters. And are they remembering that, or are they remembering the fact that Daddy would sit in a corner and bite himself and hit himself, even though I didn't know they were there? And I always worry about stuff like that. I mean, my kids always tell me that that they love me, and they understand, and they really appreciate how good I was as a dad. But like you said, I always sit and think about the bad.
Sit in the bullshit soup. So let's take a little break, shall we? And when we get back, I thought we could maybe discuss how we work on this, because I'm getting better. We'll see. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Experience. I hope you weren't ruminating on anything during the break. I definitely was trying not to. Weird old thing, this. And I'm glad that we're talking about it, because it's making me validate my own experiences, dude. I always really appreciate that you're such a good soundboard for me, and like our friendship's been so beneficial for me to be able to do this.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, but it's catching the narrative, isn't it? That's the thing that I've got written down here. It's like labeling the thought pattern, and that is something that has helped me so much with educating myself about this sort of stuff. In that, when I can't stop my thoughts, I don't sit there anymore and go, I'm a crazy person, why can't I stop my brain? I go, that's rumination. I name you, you demon. And it seems easier to face when you actually know what it is that you're facing, and you can recognize it and name it and separate yourself from it. Silence. You may speak.
No, I'm just listening to you.
Okay. Oh, keep that in. That's funny. But that's something that's really, really helped me recently, in that a lot of my negative traits about being neurodivergent and the things that I struggle with it doesn't feel as personal anymore. Like, it actually feels like I'm not my rumination. It's something that happens within my brain, but it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't affect my soul. It's just something I have to navigate. And it seems not as big when it doesn't feel like I don't try and say to myself there's something wrong with me anymore. That's like where I'm what I'm trying to say with this. I try and separate myself from the things that I have. Like, when I have meltdowns, I don't sit there and go, what's happening? I go, I'm having a meltdown. Let's navigate this.
Yeah.
And recognizing the signs of when they're coming. Like, when a thought will flash across my head and I'll have a big tick and I'll go, and then afterwards, I never go, what the fuck was that? What was that? And then ruminate on what it was. Now I kind of go, oh, that's a rumination reaction. The feeling that I'm feeling right now is RSD. And having the logic to be able to recognize my symptoms and my traits doesn't make it feel like it's happening to me as much. It feels like it's just something that I have to navigate.
Yeah. No, I think that's, I mean, I listen to other podcasts and I read a lot of advocacy stuff, and obviously a lot of people do talks, and I've been to talks, and I think a lot of people they focus on talking about neurodivergence like, not like it's a disease, but like it's this thing that we need to understand, as in like a physical thing. And I think that's what I like about this podcast and talking between us is it's not a thing. It's a life. It is an experience. Yeah. It is us. It is, rather than just saying, oh, neurodivergent people go blah 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 blah.
I am afflicted by X, Y, Z.
Because I can talk about that till the cows come home. I can sit there from a specialist point of view and tell you what it is that you are feeling and why you're feeling it, and I can go into the science. But at the end of the day, that's not always going to help. That knowing that other people go through the same thing, knowing the fact that other people have to navigate the world in the same way, and knowing that they're able to come out the other side healthily, I think that is incredibly validating. And I think that's one of the most important things. So understanding yourself and how you interact with your version of your neurodivergence, that is the key to not hating yourself, not feeling like you're less. Because I think that even, and I say this in the nicest way, I've been watching Love on the Spectrum again. My God, season 4.
Why'd you do this to
I'm
yourself?
I'm so sorry, because I hate myself. And when I'm watching it, I'm suddenly like hyper aware, because these people are mostly intellectually disabled, or at least the synaptic pruning has not happened.
Mostly high support needs across the board. Right?
Yeah, but I like they're lovely people, but they aren't. They you know. You can talk about levels and you can talk about high functioning, Asperger's or whatever. The fact is that they're nothing like me. They're nothing like me and nothing like the people I know. But when I'm watching this program, there are things that they do that I obviously do because they are autistic and I'm autistic, and I do the things that they do. And I become hyper aware of it. Like when I'm then suddenly I'm like, oh, I'm like those people, and I'm thinking like them, I'm talking like them, and this is the whole idea of the rumination. Because then I'm like, well, is that how other people perceive me? When I go into talking about my special interest, when I'm hyper focused, when I just ramble on as I'm doing right now, are people just going, oh my God, well, that's a lot of that's a lot of autism right there.
Yeah, I had a meltdown playing golf the other day, and I felt so self-conscious afterwards because I'd not really been like properly unmasked in front of these guys, and then afterwards, genuinely in my brain, I was like, they could just think I'm a Timmy, and they're not going to want to hang out with me anymore. That's the honest truth, dude.
Yeah,
but that's
no,
the truth.
I know.
It sucks, but one of the things that really helped with that is seeking clarification from people and actually talking to them and feeling brave enough to sort of do it. Like, do you find this? Do you, like with the situation with your sister with the text, like, it obviously felt easier when you turned to Sylvia and went, can you read it? What am I getting from this that's making me feel like this? Like, that obviously helped.
Yeah, I think it was good, and also it worries me as well, because I would love to say, oh, I learned a lesson that day. You know, I'm next time I receive a message, or next time somebody says something to me, or next time something happens, I'm going to, you know, try and see the positive in everything. But my brain doesn't work like that. It's day to day, and I think the only thing that I can keep doing is I can just keep trying, because if I don't keep trying to make myself healthy in my head, if I stop trying, then I'm going to go down a very, very dark path. And I can't go there again. Like, I lived in that very, very dark path, even when, you know, everything in my life seemed lovely. I got depression, and I always feel like I'm teetering on the edge of depression. Like it's like always somewhere in the back of my mind.
It's easy to fall into as well. Once you've been there, it's easy to go back.
Yeah,
it sucks how easy it is to slide back into it.
Oh, absolutely. And then I think that's why I just have to keep working on it, in exactly the same way as, you know, with my back. I know that I have to keep moving. I can't sit in the same place for too long. It's gonna stiffen up. It's gonna start hurting. So I have to get up, and I have to move around, and I have to keep on working on it. I have to keep going to the gym. I have to keep doing my exercises. I have to keep doing things to keep myself healthy, whether it's eating, whether it's exercise, or whether it's meditation, mindfulness, going for walks. I just have to keep doing it. And it sounds like a lot, but that's being neurodivergent. You know, we are constantly on hyper alert, and it's very tiring. It's very stressful. So you have to look after yourself.
Yeah, you've got to have self-compassion, and honestly, the big tool that I've learned is knowing what regulates me. And that's like deep breaths, being barefoot outside, being in the sunshine, all things that I know really regulate me, and I have to lean on that. And it's difficult when, you know, that strikes, and it's all sort of like really encompassing and really difficult. And it's really hard to practice self-compassion and setting boundaries with yourself, like what you were describing of, you know, if I imagined my brain as like a village with all these different houses of my thoughts and feelings, there's like 3 or 4 haunted houses on in that village, and sometimes they come out, the people that live inside it come out for a walk, and I can't kill them. They are a part of me. And I've said many times on this show, the worst bully that I have ever had is me. And if I can beat him, I can take on anybody. And it's sort of having that self-compassion and knowing that you don't deserve to feel like this all the time. And knowing what helps it. Like you said this morning, you went out in nature, you were only meant to be there an hour, and you went, fuck it, I'm going to be there for 3. And it's obviously done you a lot of good. And like me, having my dog that we adopted, Nana, has really helped regulate me, because I've got all of these thoughts and feelings running through my head. And it can be anything from like, oh, I think I might have upset that person, to, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job because I didn't reply to an email within 3 hours. And my body responds as if a lion has just walked into the room. I can't control that chemical reaction that happens. I can't control the cortisol that explodes and the adrenaline that comes out, and the fact that I have to stim and I start ticking. But being able to step outside and sit in the sunshine with my dog sat on my feet for 5 minutes, and that dog looks up at me and doesn't judge me, it just loves me unconditionally, that really helps. It really, really helps. Like, having a support animal, for me, has been a game changer with my mental health, because I now have an excuse to go out for a walk in nature. Like, as somebody who's been such a recluse and ostracized himself because he was like, oh, it's easier to not have anybody than to deal with all of these feelings and this rumination.
Oh God, I know how that feels.
I was like, yeah, I can't cope with talking to people and dealing with rejection, so it's easy to have nobody. And having a dog has really helped with that, because I've got a reason to go outside. I've got a reason to be present in nature. Like, when I'm walking her, I feel so alive. Like, just sort of walking in the sunshine and hearing, like, it's crazy, dude, when you can separate yourself, you see so much more. It's like suddenly you start seeing birds and you start hearing them, and you start feeling the wind hit your face, and how the sunshine makes you feel when you close your eyes and look up at the sun. And it's about reconnecting to the present and not being stuck in the past. For me, that's the thing that's really, really helped me. And breath work, like the work that I've done with Ashley Dupuy, has so helped me. And it's literally just right now, after we've recorded this, I'm going to go and sit outside in the garden with no shoes on and just let my feet hit the grass and let the sunshine hit my face, and I'm going to have a coffee, and I'm not going to beat myself up for having that for 5 minutes.
Exactly. That's the key. Is just be kind to yourself. Because, you know, we can't depend on others to be kind to us.
So true.
You know, we hope that they will be, but then we have to be kind to ourselves, and we have to be kind to others. And, you know, and I think it's really easy when you're disabled, socially especially, to become very resentful of the world, very resentful of people, and bitter, because, you know, we don't get treated nicely. So I think it's really easy for us to then see everything in that negative light, just like I was seeing that message. You know, we see the world, and we only pick out those negative things. And I think that, you know, in order to have self-care, we need to look at the world and try and just see the positives. And if you're listening, that is how you can stop being in this negative mindset. Is there will be negativity, but if you can try and put that to the side and just concentrate on the positivity, that it will change your perspective, and it will make you a happier person.
And a bit of advice that I would add on top of that as well is, no matter how much you fight it, this will happen again. And learning and understanding that this is just part of the lived experience. And when this shit happens, accept it and welcome it in a way, and just go, yeah, I'm going to feel like this for an hour. And yeah, I'm going to feel really tired afterwards. But I'm going to make sure that when I'm stopping feeling like this, I'm actually nice to myself and look after myself. And I said the phrase, you know, the worst bully I've ever had was me. And now I'm trying to be the best friend that I've ever had to me. And that's what I'm trying to do. And just be kind to myself, and know that there isn't a cure for this. This is the brain that I have been born into, and the one that I will have until I wander off this mortal coil. And I'm going to have to live with these demons. They're not going to go anywhere. There's no exorcism to to get rid of them. My trauma's my trauma. But if I understand that it's going to come, then it's easier when it does.
Yeah. Preparation.
Yep.
All right. That was a good episode. I enjoyed
Yeah,
that.
That was nice, wasn't it?
It's nice to have you back, Scott.
Thanks, man. Yeah, no, it was really nice to be back. It's funny. I was saying to Karis, that's the first episode of this entire show that I haven't been in. Other than the first minute. Mad that, isn't it? Over 110 episodes, and that was the first one that I was like, hello, I'm not in it. And the amount of times where I've been super tired and burnt out and still done it, and it's took me 109 episodes to go, I need a break.
Well, glad to have you back.
Thanks, man. I think I needed it. But yeah, no, thank you so much for listening, everybody. There will be no hot topic this week, still in the process of moving and shaking things around, but I promise it will be back soon. I'm all out of spoons, dude. Thanks so much for listening. Bye, everyone.
I need the toilet.
Oh, well. Thanks for sharing that with everyone. Bye,
everybody. My God, why are you talking over me?
I'm trying to stop. I can't stop.
Just shut up. Oh. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Neurodivergent Experience. We hope today's episode sparks something for you, whether it's a new idea, a bit of validation, or just a moment of connection. Remember, new episodes are every week, so be sure to join us for the next one for more conversations and insights into the neurodivergent experience. If you've enjoyed this podcast, help us grow. You can do that by rating and reviewing this show. Your support makes a huge difference in helping us reach more people who could benefit from these conversations. You can connect with us on social media. Find us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Just search for the Neurodivergent Experience. Thank you again for listening, and until next time, take care of yourself. You're not alone in this journey.